Is it recording? I think so. All right, guys. I finally bought myself an official video camera. I've been talking a bunch of shit over the last, 5 years about getting more involved with video. And this is it. We really mean it this time. Let's make sure we rock this during the video. So I just got finished writing a blog post, and I spent a lot of time on it, and I feel really good about it. I feel like I was able to express myself, and the blog post was the 5 lessons that I learned in 2015. It is December 27th. The year is coming to an end, and goddamn, what a year this was. So this is the 5 lessons that I learned in 2019. Lesson number 1. I am not indestructible. All right. Everybody that follows me knows about my back surgery this year, and I'm sure some of you are sick of listening to me talk about it, but it was a huge moment in my life. When I hurt my back, I've never had an experience that completely I was not able to mentally push myself through. I wrote in the blog post that when you're an athlete and you grow up playing sports, and sports and physicality is a big part of your life, you're pretty comfortable with pain. You're comfortable with being uncomfortable. It wasn't until I had this terrible back injury and I felt this nerve pain going through my legs that I came to grips with the fact that I am not indestructible. And I don't know. That was a tough lesson for me to learn because I've just never experienced that before. I've never had anything that I couldn't just mentally push myself through. And the second I woke up from the surgery and I felt instant relief, it was such an emotional moment for me because I was going into a very dark place in my head. You just start thinking there's no way I can live my life like this. I can't be in this kind of pain all the time. And it gave me a whole new perspective and appreciation for people that deal with chronic pain. Just being able to, this thing. I couldn't do this. There's no way I could do it. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this, especially. I couldn't do any of that shit. It was terrible. I couldn't run. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. If I did sit, I had to sit Indian style, and then I could only do that for a couple minutes, and then I had to try to stand up, and it was fucking awful. So this newfound gratitude and appreciation I have for just my health, it was important. So lesson learned, I am not indestructible. All right, lesson number 2, less is more. This lesson has all different applications in my life, but in this case, I'm speaking specifically about my blog and my personal brand. Over the year, I did an experiment and exercise on trying to post a blog post every single day. I didn't post every day, but I came close. I wrote at least 300 something blog posts this year, and it was worth it. Yes, it was worth it, but was it effective? No. Totally not. I enjoyed the daily creativity. I enjoyed the daily comments and the emails sent to me hey, I love what you're doing. I love your writing. I look forward to it every day. And I would get those little dopamine hits. But the instant gratification came at the cost of long-term growth and success. With my blog especially, this lesson is pertaining to my work, and it's pertaining to the things that I create. And so from this point going forward, definitely no more daily blog posts. Everything I do is going to have substance. It's going to have meaning. It's going to be long form. Yeah, I might lose that instant gratification. However, I'm going to see the long-term results for sure. So lesson learned, quality over quantity. And I think that is always going to be the case. Lesson number 3, systems are more important than hustle. I've written a lot about a book I read called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. However, at the beginning of this year, I read a quote by a guy named James Clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems. And I wrote that on my whiteboard, and I would see it every day, and I just implemented systems into so many different areas of my life. This thinking about hustle, and I've written about, hashtag hustle in my blog many times. But the problem with hustling is that there's only 24 hours in a day. You can never ever get more work out of a day than 24 hours. But if you develop systems, you can create automation. And automation can do work. You can leverage resources to create automation that does work for you without you. And I know that that's not always the most ideal way to do it. There's a lot of thinking that you want to focus on one thing and just be the absolute best at that one thing. And that's the best way for maximum success. And I don't know, that might be true, but that's just not how I want to live my life. I like having my hands in a bunch of different things. I like being invested in different ideas and different concepts and being creative in a bunch of different places. So every time I build a system, really what I'm doing is I'm freeing up my time. I'm taking myself out of the process. And this year was really big on that. This year was really big on systems. It was really big on creating automation and creating process. And it's worked really well. So granted, I still have to be careful not to get involved with every crazy idea I come up with, not to get involved with every project that interests me. I still do get caught up in, chasing shiny objects, and that's something I have to be mindful of. However, with this concept of implementing systems in my life, I've proven, I believe to myself, that I can successfully manage more than one thing as long as I get out of my own way. All right, what do we got? Lesson number 4. Oh, this is a good one. Lesson number 4 is the value of knowing your ultimate outcome. What do most people do every day? They wake up and they put together their to-do list and they start working. They start at the beginning. But if you really, really want to achieve success in something, what I have learned to do is you think of the ultimate outcome. What is the actual thing that you want? What exactly do you want and when do you want it by? Make that your bullseye and then start working backwards to figure out the steps you have to take to get there. So now you've mapped out your steps, and everything that you do is going to be optimized towards bringing you to your ultimate outcome. It's a way better way to live and to work, and I would recommend this thinking to anybody. And actually, I just did. All right. Number 5. This is the fun one. This is the importance of facing your fears. I've been listening a lot to the Jordan Peterson podcast. I am very, very fascinated with Jordan Peterson's obsession with these archetypical stories throughout all of the different cultures in the world. So basically every culture throughout the existence of civilization has come up with their own version of the hero story. Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Sarah Connor, Siddhartha, Ragnar Lothbrok, every Iron Man, the Avengers, every superhero you've ever come across, every Disney character you've ever come across, Elsa, for fuck's sake. Why do we need this story? Why do we need this archetype and this sort of cyclical call to adventure and this rebirth within our heroes in our society? And I think from listening to him, the answer is because the hero story brings us to the realization that facing your fears and taking responsibility is the best way to find meaning and purpose in your life. You have to face the abyss. You have to look into the abyss. You have to come face to face with Darth Vader. You have to look at the Terminator. You have to look at Voldemort. You have to look directly into the thing that scares you the most, right? So that's a metaphor for our problems, basically, but it's also a higher level metaphor for our own mortality, because what's the scariest thing there is? It's to look into the abyss. It's to look into the infinite nature of our of what happens after we die. What happens when you run away from your problems? Do they go away? No. They get stronger. They follow you. Like the Terminator, he's always behind you. You know, like Voldemort, like Slytherin. That's the snake. That's the thing that's always lurking in the grass, waiting to rear its ugly head and stalk you, basically. So what's the antidote to that? What happens when you turn and face your problem? Well, then you become reborn. You know, that's the phoenix. That is, that's the king of kings, like in Lord of the Rings. That's the representation of going into the belly of the whale and rescuing your father. So it's all very metaphorical. And obviously these are like abstract ideologies that we've all had in our culture. And all of us know these stories, but they mean something to us. The reason why they mean something to us is because facing your fears is the best way to live a life that has meaning and purpose behind it. Because when you face your fears, you know who you are. You know your limitations. You come to grips with the fact that you're not immortal and that one day you're gonna die. And like, that's really fucking terrifying, but there's this peace and there's this serenity that happens to every hero within the hero story that like we all relate to and that we all aspire to on some level. Because of my back surgery, like I would have to go for walks every night, and I've been doing a ton of walking. And during these walks, you know, I listen to these stories and I think about my ability to face my fears, and I think about all the times where I've tried to run away from something that I was afraid of or that I didn't quite want to deal with. And I thought of all the ways that these problems of mine follow me and they stalk me. And I thought of all the times where I faced my fears. Like my sobriety is a perfect example. You turn and you face it, and you stare directly into it, and you dive into the belly of the whale. And with that, you find meaning and purpose. And I've reflected on that so much this year, and it's been a really, really focal point in my life. And it's been like a really great process for me. So the lesson is face your fears, look directly into them, and meet them head on. This video was longer than I thought it was going to be. I hope that you were able to sit and watch this whole video. If you did, please subscribe. Please leave a comment. I want to know what you learned this year. I want to know what some of your life lessons were. And more importantly, I want you to join me on this new journey of 2020. I'm going to be doing a lot more long form content. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, a lot more interviews with people, and I have a huge fucking announcement to make, probably in my next video in the next 3 or 4 days. All right, guys, I appreciate you all so much. Join my newsletter at timstodds.com. Talk to you next time. Peace out.